MDH, the Indian Spice King, has denied allegations of pesticide contamination following reports from food safety regulators in Hong Kong as well as Singapore. The Centre for Food Safety in Hong Kong, remember, had detected ethylene oxide, a prohibited pesticide, in various pre-packaged spice products from MDH and another Indian brand, Everest, earlier this month. The Hong Kong food regulator issued a warning against the sale and purchase of MDH Madras curry powder, Sambar Masala, as well as the Everest fish curry masala. Now, MDH has reassured consumers and customers in India, stating that they do not use ethylene oxide at any stage of spice production. Their products, in fact, adhere to stringent health and safety standards both in India as well as internationally. The company said that neither the Spice Board of India nor the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has been contacted by regulatory bodies of Hong Kong or Singapore regarding these findings. They further said that the allegations lack evidence and are thus baseless and unsubstantiated. MDH, of course, Kartik, denying all the allegations, but the truth remains that Hong Kong and Singapore have found ethylene oxide in some of the pre-packaged MDH Sambar Masala, curry and fish masala products and have banned them.
My only question to MDH is that while you don't actively use ethylene oxide as an ingredient, obviously nobody would. The point is that the pesticides which you're perhaps procuring from your other B2B partners could very well be contaminated with ethylene oxide. So the point is that while Singapore and Hong Kong have observed through their labs, have detected, in fact, ethylene oxide, are there different standards from what is being produced in India for the export market versus what is being sold here in India? That is unlikely a scenario. So the point very much is that I think we'll have to wait for FSSAI and Spice Board of India to, in their own labs, conduct all these examinations and arrive at a final conclusion by picking up samples from the various points in the production process from MDH and Everest, and give a very, very concrete, unbiased, objective report on what they have discovered and what they have not discovered. Because if there is indeed no ethylene oxide found, then there is a very different story being played out in other developed markets, including Singapore and Hong Kong, against Indian produced spices.
Absolutely. And you know, given that India is the largest consumer, exporter of spices in the world, has produced over, and exports over 32,000 crore worth spices in financial year 22-23. A denial at this point in time is not going to serve us any good. At least as customers, as consumers of some of those MDH spices, I would perhaps be more cognizant of what MDH does by the way of testing some of those samples.
See, I think, the message from pretty much anybody you speak to who's an expert out there when it comes to food safety and food regulations is that anything which is packaged is in any case not good for your health. So the fact that you cannot expect an MDH which has a higher shelf life, or an Everest which has a higher shelf life than the spices that you actually ground in your own kitchen to have the same sort of shelf life as the ones that that you make on your own. So the point is that there is obviously some pesticide which is being used to really grow, some preservatives being used. So a complete denial from the company is only obvious, because you're not going to raise your hand and say, hey, you know what, I discovered that yes, we have ethylene oxide. But what is surprising is that MDH has not received any notice from the Hong Kong or Singapore boards of conducting these audits, and even from Spice Boards of India or FSSAI in the matter. So I think overall right now we are at the mercy of what the report from FSSAI and the Spices Board of India really comes out as a definitive conclusion on whether or not there is ethylene oxide in the pesticide used in the production process of these spices.
Absolutely, but as a customer, I think I would be wary of using some of those spices until there is a clean chit given to both MDH as well as Everest. So denial perhaps not going to serve any good to either Everest or MDH. Perhaps sampling and testing of some of those samples will do good to put to rest fears of its customers.